Okay, I'm getting ready to make my stuffed shells. So the first thing I do is I'm preparing everything and getting everything ready to go. So first I have my water boiling and I have my pasta, and I use Barilla jumbo shells. And when I make lasagna, which is basically the same recipe, I use Barilla lasagna sheets. And I'm using a ragu sauce because Nest does not like chunky tomato sauce. So this is a smooth sauce. And this is the pan that I do it in. And I usually fill this pan up and go into an overflow pan. So we always have leftovers. So I'm going to put the shells into the water to boil. And one thing about this is that you can undercook the pasta a little bit because the pasta is going to be in the oven for a while, so it will soften even more. So it makes sense to, instead of cooking it for 15 minutes, you cook it for 10. Okay, so you take the macaroni when it's done and you drain it and put it on a tray for it to cool, because you can't work with it when it's right out of the water, obviously. And then you go about making your filling. And I start with a couple of beaten eggs. And then I add in an entire container of ricotta. Not everybody uses a whole container of ricotta, but I do because we really like ricotta. So in goes the ricotta. And then I use mozzarella. And that's kind of messy, but the mozzarella goes in. Take some good handfuls and put in the mozzarella. If you have mascarpone, you can use mascarpone as well. I also like to put a little bit of Parmesan in it, and I have a cheese grater, and I use that to put my Parmesan in. And then you just mix it all up and you prepare the fillings. So here I'm grating the Parmesan in. And I use a nice amount of Parmesan too, but you leave some Parmesan for the top when it's baking. So that's good. And then you just mix it all together. And it gets all squishy and nice and a good texture. And then I'm going to add a little bit of spice to it. So I take the Italian seasoning blend. There it is, Italian seasoning. And I put that in there. And then I do some salt and pepper. Seasoning of the gods, right? So do some salt. That's good. Get it all mixed up. Salt, and forgot the pepper, so here it is. Here's the pepper. And if you like it a little tangy, you can add garlic. I don't usually add garlic to mine, but you can add garlic. And then you get down to the business of stuffing. So the next step is preparing the pan. So what we're going to do is we're going to spray the pan to make sure it doesn't stick. And then we're going to coat the bottom in the sauce, and You can make your own sauce, or you can use the sauce that we have. I'm one day going to learn to make my own sauce. So you spread this out so that it's all along the bottom. And then you move on to actually filling your shells. So all you need to do is pick up a shell and then fill it to the brim with the ricotta mixture. Okay? And when you've done that, you just put it into the container. And we have the oven preheating to 400 degrees so that it'll all be ready to go in. And so you do this, of course, over and over again until you have all your shells done, and then you pop it in the oven.
Excellent. Oh.
Okay, so as you can see, I have done 2 platters of the stuffed shells. They're all in their each individual platters so that I have some left over. The next step is going to be putting a little bit of sauce on the top of them. Just kind of drizzle it over. And after the sauce, we're going to put on mozzarella cheese and some more of the Parmesan. And then we're going to put it all in the oven at 400 degrees, and we'll cook it for about 40 minutes. So there's all the sauce, and we're just going to layer the mozzarella on top, which is going to melt really nicely over the shells. Okay. And then we're going to do the Parmesan, and the Parmesan is just going to go right over the top. And what we're going to do is we're going to cook it for about 40 minutes and then take it out, put a little bit more cheese on the top because you know you can't ever have too much cheese, and then put it back in the oven for about another 10 minutes, and then we're done. So we're just going to put these in the oven, and we will be ready to eat.
How long does it cook for?
40 minutes.
Excellent.
And here we go. So I took them out of the oven, and I had tented them to make sure that they would not get dry. And here's what it looks like. Isn't that lovely? And then I am just going to put a little bit of mozzarella over the top and let it melt in. And we have our stuffed shell dinner.
Came out really good. Did you add rice milk this time?
It's delicious.